3 dangers of an untrained fighter that you need to know. So the first thing, an untrained fighter doesn't necessarily mean an inexperienced fighter. I'll give you an example. Someone that pulled a knife, okay, and the guy looked at the knife, the victim looked at the knife, and bang, got hit with a right hook.
Because he's focused on the wrong place, and this guy...
Because he was focusing on the knife, exactly.
But that's a tactic, isn't it? The guy's done that on purpose, the perpetrator.
Exactly, but that's experience. Or the guy that spits in your face and then throws a punch. That's nasty, isn't it? That's
he doesn't have to have learnt that in a gym, does he?
Exactly. Never underestimate someone if you think they're untrained. It doesn't mean that they don't have experience.
So we can't assume just because someone's not got the stance and the dress and everything as it should be, they haven't fought many times.
Exactly, they know what they're doing. The second reason why an untrained fighter is going to be a danger to you is because they're more attuned to aggression. Okay? Much more attuned to aggression than the average person. And this is the difference between anger and aggression. We spoke about it in our last video.
Yes.
The difference between anger and aggression. And it's a really important point because people get them confused. They think that anger and aggression is exactly the same, but they're not. They're completely different.
Okay.
You see, you can be hot aggressive and you could be cold aggressive, but aggression isn't necessarily emotional. It's an intention. It's an intention to cause harm.
Okay.
And it could be hot as in very highly aggressive and, you know, fierce and rageful almost, but not a rage. I'm trying to define this for you.
Yep.
And that's very different to anger because it has a purpose.
Yes.
Aggression has a purpose. It's a human behavior.
Anger more is a blind emotion, like when you're struck with anger and you're flustered and you don't know why you're angry sometimes. But aggression is they're directing it at you.
It's got intention and it's got focus. And
it's a behaviour more than an emotion, perhaps.
Yes, exactly. And that's the one thing to get across, and don't confuse the two because most people do confuse the two.
Okay.
So an untrained fighter is more likely to be aggressive.
Aggressive.
Highly aggressive. And I've seen fights between trained fighters and untrained fighters in the streets. In fact, actually known those people. And the reason why they've lost the fight or they haven't prevailed in that conflict is because they weren't aggressive enough. It wasn't because they weren't angry enough and they didn't have the intention to fight. They couldn't switch on their mindset and didn't have the sense of aggression. So aggression is a defining factor. The third reason, I'm going to throw this at you. It's pretty obvious. They don't think about what they're going to do. They don't think about their moves. They just naturally fight.
They're not trying to recall their training and think through all of the...
It's not a step process.
No, they're just gunning for you.
Yeah, exactly. They basically have the aggression, the intent to cause harm, to hurt you, and at the end of the day, what they're not trying to do is to perform a spinning back 360 kit that they learned in their latest ninja class.
They're not thinking about technique and the medals and the accolades. They
all.
are just hurting you and overcoming you in the fight.
Exactly.
Okay.
So what's the takeaway from this? What can we learn from it?
Not to underestimate these people that we assume are untrained and don't immediately believe they're inexperienced.
I think the takeaway is that anybody can be aggressive and you can't underestimate the person in front of you. But the main thing that is the defining factor in your ability to defend yourself is your level of intention. If you have a clear intention to defend yourself and act in a way that is or appears to be aggressive, that's far better than learning a sense of fancy moves. And it doesn't really matter what moves you're learning. You can be in the best gyms in the world, boxing, MMA, kickboxing, Thai boxing, whatever you're doing, if you don't have a sense of intention, you will not prevail in a violent conflict. It's very, very simple on that. So the takeaway is try to work on your mindset. Don't underestimate the guy in front of you.
I like it.
Let's go with that. Thanks for watching.